Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं. So we finished 27 of chapter 3, where Krishna Bhagwan said that all actions are performed in all cases merely by the qualities of nature, the gunas. And we really hashed it out very much in detail what the gunas were. He whose mind is deluded by egoism thinks, I am the doer. So that was a last one, meaning if it's deluded by ego, meaning does not understand that the qualities of what qualities of nature are, what it's all about, and they work with each other. And this I am the doer, that notion, I think I had mentioned earlier that is the hardest one to go leave you in a sense that we always think I'm the doer, even if we may understand it theoretically, but it has really not sunk into our psyche deep yet. So that notion comes very quickly, surfaces that I'm the doer kind of thing, and it's connected with ego. But of course, Krishna Bhagwan already said that you have to have patience, and slowly that goes. But if you are on the right path, eventually it gets less and less. So that's what it was. And then everybody must have got a good picture of what the gunas are. I sent it in that WhatsApp. So now the next verse is a very significant verse, and it's quoted many times. And when we were doing our study class also, we used to, especially the guna guneshu vartante, that little sentence in there was quoted many times, in Gita discourses. And I'll tell you what is in there, and you may have already read it. So let's do I'll chant and I'll do the words, and then maybe it'll open up more. तत्त्ववित्तु महाबाहो गुणकर्म विभागयोः गुणागुणेषु वर्तन्ते इति मत्वा न सज्जते. So here tattvavit means the knower of the truth. Tattva means like essence, vit means knower. Tu is but, mahabaho, mighty armed, guna karma vibhagayoho, division of the qualities, division of qualities and functions. So what he's talking about here is tattva, element also you can call, 24 elements. Guna karma vibhaga, meaning जो 24 एलिमेंट जो बताए थे उसमें गुण विभाग, गुण तो चारों में you can say that they have their own gunas. We talked about it, right? And I just want to mention, by mistake I said last when I was listening to the what I was saying in my last class, I said that by mistake I said air is more pervading than Akash, but that's not true. Akash is more pervading. I hope everybody understands. It was just a mistake. So grossest, when we use the word gross and subtle, it is density and then subtleness, pervasiveness. So if you see the 5 elements, Akash obviously is the subtlest, then comes air, then comes fire, then comes water, and then comes earth. That's the sequence. And if you go in reverse, then you know which one is the grossest as the earth. So just remember that. Okay, so when you talk about guna karma vibhag, meaning it has a gunas, we talked about it कि भाई आकाश का गुण है hearing, shabd, right? And the associated sense organ is ear and all that. So those are all the vibhag that we had discussed. Karma vibhag is when these sense perception or sense organs, they interact with the sense objects. Sense objects are like outside, all that we see. And so what it is that it is a division of this guna and karma, and they interact with each other. That's where they are getting at with this guna karma vibhaga. Okay, and then guna, the qualities in the form of senses. Guneshu, among the qualities, means ये आपस में they interact. जैसे कोई chemical reaction होता है ना, वैसे समझ लो. Vartante, remain. Iti, thus. Matva is knowing. Na is not. Sajjate is not, is attached. Actually, is not attached because you have to put that together. Na sajjate means a person doesn't get attached. So let's see now what it's basically telling over here. So first thing it's saying is that Tattva Vittu, the knower of the self. So this person, self-realized person, he knows the self and he understands the Prakriti also. Ye nahi ki khali his goal is only to understand the self. No, he knows Prakriti very well. He knows all the 24 elements and he knows the guna and karma vibhag of it. So functioning of the sense organs, functioning of the organ of action, and the mind. There were four, they call it in Sanskrit, they call it Antakaran Chatushtaya, means 4 parts of the Antakaran that we talked about. Mana, Buddhi, Chit and Ahankar. All of that functioning he knows, but he looks at it very objectively because what he knows that all these functions they are talking about in the world happens in Prakriti only. That's what he knows. Okay? And what example I was thinking is that we have this computer. So the whole mechanics is there of the computer, right? Once the electricity is plugged in, then everything starts happening. But it is not happening in electricity. It is happening in the computer. So if you compare computer to the Prakriti and electricity to the consciousness, then you will understand electricity में कुछ नहीं हुआ है. Electricity का खाली presence आया है उसमें, and the whole mechanism is working within the computer. So from that, perspective, now apply the same example. Everything is happening in Prakriti. So when a wise person knows that even thinking, because sometimes, we get confused about our mind. We think mind is somehow, connected with that consciousness. But in Vedanta, it is very clear that mind is just a subtle matter. Okay? And I think in science, you can call it matter and energy. You can just go from matter to energy, energy to matter, but it is a subtle matter. That's all it is. So I think it's in line with science. So what does it mean that it kind of happens? Just think of it this way. It happens automatically, everything in the Prakriti. The best example is our breathing. Breathing is happening, right? The function is, we can call it a function. Function is happening whether we are conscious of it or not. Even in कोई कोमा में चला जाएगा उसका भी breathing चल रही है. Function is happening. So वो automatic हो गया ना. That is a good example. But I can also do pranayam. I can be aware of my breathing. But most of the time, it just happens automatically. So same way the wise person understands that everything is happening in Prakriti. Even when my mind works, it is happening in the Prakriti only. It's like a perpetuating. I'm having a tongue problem today. So it's self-going, and it functions according to its internal laws. So it's like sometimes we think, oh my God, this miracle happened in the Prakriti or something like that. From the Vedantic perspective, on the scientific perspective, there is no miracle. It's just that if we don't understand something, we call it a miracle. It's working according to the laws of Prakriti only. There is some laws we don't understand. That's why we call it a miracle. And if you think about it, say 100 years ago, if somebody would have said कि कोई सेल फोन जैसी भी चीज़ होएगी जहाँ से हम लोग ये कर सकते हैं, तो कोई नहीं मानता उस बात को. Okay? But after everybody understood how the Prakriti works, they created this cell phone. So the person who is a Tattva Vittu, means who is a knower of the self and the 24 elements, he knows very well. He very well knows that all these laws are functioning in the Prakriti and everything is happening in the Prakriti only. And you know, one of the Swamis even brought that up, that as the science is advancing, they are also creating like artificial life. To AI is there, of course, but I think what he was trying to tell is that in the laboratory they can actually create some kind of life, in a sense, if they can put together some chemicals and life can start expressing through it also, because life is everywhere. Okay, so if somebody can understand more and more laws, and in our they can do all these things, and in our Shastras and Puranic stories they have all the people having siddhis, right? They have the siddhis and they can do this and that because they are in tune with the law of nature. That's why they can do it. It's not like, some miracle or something unexplainable. Aisa kuch nahi hai. That's what he was saying. I thought that was an interesting point. And one thing I didn't mention, that there is a pranas also, which were not in that 24 division, but pranas are just expression of these elements only. With some other areas in Vedanta, they bring that pranas also, because there are a lot further divisions of it and all that. And then don't forget the 3 gunas, the Rajasic, Tamasic, Rajasic, Tamasic and Sattvic gunas. So the 3 gunas also express in everything. And they have, in Vedanta, they have their own kind of ways to explain that our pranas are comes from the Rajasic nature of Prakriti, our body comes from Tamasic nature, and our mind and our indriyas come from the Sattvic nature. So that's how they kind of divide all that. So everybody who is born on this earth, we have to live in the Prakriti. Without that, life is not possible. Okay? So we just have to understand that Prakriti is not me. That's where when we say we are the doer, what happens is that Prakriti is separate from consciousness. Our true nature is that consciousness, but people get identified with the Prakriti and they start thinking, I'm doing it. That's the problem that happens. And one of the great example is that it happens to everybody, that suppose we looking up in the sky and the moon is there and the clouds are there. Moon is stationary and the cloud is going over it, and if continuously you look at it for a while, you think the moon is moving. That's what happened to us, that we are so close in Prakriti, and the Prakriti is doing something, and I start thinking it's happening to me. I identify with my mind, body, intellect, and then I start thinking. So this person who is a knower of the truth, he knows that I am separate, it is happening in Prakriti, he becomes a witness. But we keep saying, oh, मैं कर रहा हूँ और ये मेरा है, वो मैं हम लोग ज़्यादा फंस जाते हैं. Okay? So this guna guneshu vartante is these 3 gunas are interacting with 3 gunas. I think the best example to me is the ocean and the waves. The waves are just playing with each other. So basically, it's like if it is my eye and I go about, daytime, whatever comes in front of my eyes, I'm going to see it. Whether I like it or not, it's going to go through my senses. That's the kind of function they're talking about. And each sense organ has its own function. Eyes can only see, I cannot hear. My ears are going to hear everything that is. So see how automatically it is happening? That's what they're talking about. It's the science behind it that they are talking about. And what about our mind now? So we may think that, oh, mind may be something, yeah, it is a more subtle matter, but mind also functioning is in the Prakriti only. And intellect, the decision making also. So now let's take an example how automatically everything happens according to the law. Suppose if I'm on the street and I see a dog coming at me, you know, eyes ka kaam hai khali dekhna. Eyes is not judging anything. It has no capacity to do all that. Through the eyes, I saw the dog. My mind is the one that connects with the past memory of some dog or some, experience that, oh, this dog is going to bite me, and a fear all of a sudden comes. So the mind is functioning now. And then my intellect says, no, but whatever I have read about these dogs, don't try to run, just stand straight and look into the eyes of the dog, and the dog will get scared and run away. Now my intellect is working. That's how you can see that how senses, mind, and intellect are all connected, but they're all functioning in their own respective field according to the law. So that's what it is. And just like you have body parts, like in our body, we have a liver, we have a heart, we have all this, and everybody has their own function. Just think of it like in the whole nature also, it is the same way. But there is one very, very important thing that unless we kind of contemplate upon it or study Bhagavad Gita or study some Shastra or somebody tells us, we don't think about that. What we don't think about is, even though everything is happening automatically, we have a power to quieten our mind and recognize that I am this Atma which is different than the Prakriti. That capacity, human beings do have it. And that's what the whole spiritual journey is about. So with studying, with all different yogas, with pranayam, all of that put together, all the sadhanas we do, we realize the presence of something subtler, which is not Prakriti, which is separate. And so the wise person has reached that state, But one who has reached that state and knows 100% now everything is happening in the Prakriti, but I am different, that person will not get attached. Because the whole problem that we were facing was, okay, Krishna Bhagavan keeps saying, don't get attached, don't get attached. He's giving you a tool why you should not get attached. Because otherwise it's very hard. Unless we contemplate upon this aspect, attachment itna jaldi jata nahi hai. But the more we think about it this way, I'm separate from this Prakriti, all the functions are happening in Prakriti, then I stand apart and become a witness, and that's when I won't be attached. So that was the whole purpose. So this was like, whenever we feel deeper attachment, we should think about this verse, and that'll help us to break the attachment. Okay? And this kind of understanding that I'm not attached, and it is more a subtle understanding. It requires contemplation. It's a little transcendental kind of thinking, and that's why it takes a little time. And it's okay we need to understand it theoretically first, obviously. And once we know theoretically, then we can go deeper into it, And then science also is in tune with this. So one Swami made a very interesting point. He said that there is a word religion and there is a word spirituality, right? Religion is more emotional. It try to appeal to your emotion side, but spirituality is all science, logic and science, So there is no room for, hey, just believe in this because this is how it happens. That's why Krishna Bhagavan is bringing this guna karma vibhaga yoga and all that, because, hey, there is a whole science behind how the Prakriti works, okay? So it's just a little sublime subject, that's all, and we have to just think about it. So with that, we can go and read now. Any question on whatever I said? Kamlaji, you have something?
Yes. Can you repeat that? I was little distracted. That tamasic, rajasic, and sattvic gunas related to our body, mind, and what was the third one?
Indriyas, body, mind.
Indriya's body.
Yeah.
Indriyas are part of body.
Yeah, but that the way they separate is that the gross part of the body, जो हमारे धातुस ये वो जिससे भी बॉडी बनी है वो तामसिक से आता है, and indriyas and the man are sattvic aspects से indriya, because
What is rajasic?
Rajasic, the pranas, the panch pranas. So remember, these division that they're talking about, nothing is in like a big box or anything. There are different places they have explained different way. We are not.
They should be reversed, like indriyas and man should be.
It's not should be, Kamlaji. It is what it is. So what we can do is, why don't you study a little bit and then you can come back and that's what I understood. But if you understand it differently, you can bring the verses or bring some, and then we can discuss, because there's no point in right.
Okay, so I'm just trying to understand. So mind and indriya are sattvic, and prana are rajasic.
Right. And the body is tamasic. And one of the reasons that indriyas are more subtle, they are, they are more, kya bolna chahiye, complicated. Indriyas are very powerful. So that's why it's like it comes under the sattvic, And
okay, I thought prana, because prana controls indriya and man. So prana should be sattvic and indriya and man should be rajasic, because they do the action. And whatever, prana controls everything. So prana is at the sattvic level, indriya and man is at rajasic level, and gross body is at the tamasic level. But I may be wrong. That's okay. I just
you can we can go. You can also do one more time research. I'll also do, because we definitely don't want to say anything wrong. And if I'm wrong, I'll correct it. But that's what.
Okay.
That's fine.
Okay.
Not a problem.
We can go further.
What else? Anybody?
Give me
Shall we read, or anybody has any other thing? Last time Sushilji wanted to read. You have this blue thing, Sushilji? Oh, you have this one. Okay, then you can read the Kathopanishad one then. So who else is a volunteer today to read? Somebody who didn't read before would like to? You can raise your hand. Okay. All right, then whoever wants to read is fine. Oh, Anilji, you want to read?
Okay. But he who knows the truth, O mighty armed, about the divisions of the qualities and their functions, and he who knows that gunas as senses move amidst gunas as objects is not attached. So much इसमें ये जो है sentence, gunas as senses move amidst gunas as objects. इसका कोई एग्जाम्पल बताइए, ये समझ में.
ओके, सो जो सेंस ऑब्जेक्ट्स है ना, वो जितनी भी दुनिया की चीजें हैं ना, वो हमारे लिए ऑब्जेक्ट्स हैं. वो 5 एलिमेंट से ही आई हैं. जो वॉट एवर यू सी आउटसाइड, घर देख लो, सड़क देख लो, पेड़ देख लो, वो ऑब्जेक्ट्स हो गए.
You see, hear, touch, whatever.
Yeah. And then our indriyas and karma indriyas, उसका जो रिएक्शन होता है उसको वो कर्म बोल देते हैं. और गुनाज है जो उसकी क्वालिटीज हैं. स्पेस की एक पर्टिकुलर क्वालिटी है. It has a least in some ways. Let's look at Earth. अर्थ इज ग्रोसेस्ट. तो अर्थ की क्वालिटी क्या क्या मेन तो है स्मेल, दे से इट, you know, gandh is the quality, but it has other qualities in it too. You can see it, you can touch it, you can do everything with earth. You go one step further, it becomes a little more subtle. So ये सब उसकी qualities हो गई, ये 5 तत्वों की. उनका जो कनेक्शन होता है ना एक दूसरे से, रिएक्शन, गुणा गुणेषु वर्तन्ते, that's what they're talking about, you know. So it's a little bit subtle subject, but it's very scientific if you think about it. Because उधर भी गुना, हम भी तो 5 एलिमेंट से बने हुए हैं, है कि नहीं? तो इधर का उधर से ऐसे बस कनेक्शन वो हो रहा है, लेना देना हो रहा है, you know?
So I think the confusion in our minds is because they're using gunas in a different meaning.
Gunas in a different, true.
We think of gunas as those 3, Rajasic, Tamasic, and Sattvic. And here they're called, the gunas means the characteristics. Not Sattvic, Rajasic, this thing, but characteristics that it's, you can touch it, you can feel it, you can smell it, so it's grosser. So that's a characteristic of the earth, not guna as Rajasic, Tamasic, or Sattvic. So gunas are being used in 2 different ways here.
So I think that, Geeta ji, on one hand you are right, on the other hand it is also true that those other 3 gunas are also constantly at work. It is intermingling of that guna, those gunas also. So you can actually apply to both over here, you know. So because those 3 gunas are, they are the kind of a building fabric of the whole universe. So from that perspective, that is baseline, Sattvic, Rajasic, and Tamasic. And then there are these 5 elements which have their own gunas. True, what you're saying, Geeta ji. So you have to look at it both ways. Basically क्या बोल रहे हैं ना अनिल जी, कि जो दुनिया में जो कुछ भी चलता है, फिजिकल लेवल पे, मेंटल लेवल पे, थॉट लेवल पे, ट्रांजैक्शनल लेवल पे, वो सब कुछ प्रकृति में हो रहा है. और प्रकृति ये 5 चीज़ों से आई है. अगर आप इसको इतना को पकड़ लेना तो ये क्लियर हो जाएगा थोड़ा थोड़ा. फिर वो 5 में आगे डिवीजन हुआ है सारा, यू नो. फॉर एग्जाम्पल कंप्यूटर है. आई डोंट नो टू मच अबाउट कंप्यूटर, बट वो बाइनरी सिस्टम बोलते हैं ना उसको कुछ, राइट? तो उसी के थ्रू सब कुछ हम लोग कर रहे हैं. देखो, that's what they're talking about. That originally there are these few elements, then they interact with each other, get complicated, but does not matter how complicated it is within those 5 only. If that makes sense.
Yes.
And then consciousness is separate from it.
Yes.
That's all it is. Anybody else? Because these discussions are kind of good that to bring up. Padhiye.
As a contrast to the point of view of the ignorant man explained in the last stanza, Krishna explains here the attitude of the wise man when he plows the field of activity. In him, attachment has no place because of his constant discriminating understanding that in all activities it is his mind that projects out to perform the action. When once the wise man has realized that actions belong to the world of mind, he is no more anxious for the fruits thereof. Success and failure thereafter belongs to the mind and not to him. I think this is where you do away with doership.
Yes, exactly. You got it. Yes.
Success and failure thereafter belongs to the mind and not to him. Likes and dislikes thereafter are of mind and not his. Love and hatred are not his, but of the mind. Thus in complete inner freedom, the God-man functions as a true sportsman in his playfield, where the very enjoyment is in the sport itself and not in the score.
That is, I thought, was a very, very great example.
Yes.
He look at the whole world as a sport. तब like कुछ बुरा होएगा अच्छा होएगा. स्पोर्ट में अगर कोई हार भी जाती है टीम, they don't sit down and get depressed. They say, okay, next time I'll win, I'll do something better. That's how they look. That's how the sport is all about. There is nowhere it happens that one team for 100 years keeps winning. Impossible. Sport is like a play for recreation. He's just saying to look at the whole world like that only. But we get so caught up. किसी को कुछ नुकसान हो गया तो उसको लगता है कि मेरी तो पूरी जिंदगी खराब हो गई. लोग सुसाइड तक कर लेते, पता नहीं क्या क्या. So that's what he's just reminding you. All this hangama that is happening in your life, it is a play of the prakriti. Guna guneshu vartante. But you are not that. The more you feel you're not that, it's not going to affect you that badly. That's all he's saying.
Basically, you become more accepting of everything.
Yes. Yeah. Because somebody was saying कि saint and sages को भी भूख प्यास लगती है because they are in the body. पर हम लोग को लगती है तो हम लोग oh my God, अभी नहीं मिलेगा खाना तो मैं मर जाऊंगी. वो सब कुछ नहीं होता उन लोगों को. और इसीलिए that's why even when they get bodily affliction, we get so scared and we said, we could run to this doctor, that doctor. I'm not saying don't run. Huh? I'm just saying example कि वो लोग इतना disturb नहीं होते हैं. Okay, one day body has to go anyway, so it will go with this disease. They are very relaxed about it. We may not be there yet, but this technique, once we contemplate upon, our hold with this kind of thing will become less. And then that's all he's saying, that धीरे धीरे वो छूटेगा हमारा, attachment कम होता जाएगा.
And this also connects to control of mind. So you are not attached to the taste. You can control your mind that food is food and I'm going to enjoy it.
Yeah. And you will be so surprised, and I'm sure all of you have that experience. Sometimes, when you're growing up, there is some sabji or something, तुम्हारे दिमाग में बैठ जाते हो, I don't want to eat this is so bad. You can always change that habit. Start reading some good things about what it does and learn to cook it a different way. All of a sudden, you will start enjoying it. Mind is a very flaky thing. You can train your mind whichever way you want, if you think that you are the master of the mind.
Mind is very flaky and very powerful.
True. Those words are so true, because it's going to come in chapter 6 when Krishna Bhagavan says mind can be your enemy or mind can be your friend. It is that powerful. Can take you down in the gutters, or it can take you to self-realization. And somebody even compared it to like a door. You can go in or you can go out. It's like a doorknob. A choice is yours. You want to go inwards or you want to go outwards. It's one only. True. Very true.
Here, Arjuna is addressed as the mighty armed, and this is very significant in the mouth of Krishna at this moment. The very term reminds us of Arjuna's wondrous heroism as the greatest archer of his time. The implication is that a true hero is not one who can face an army and kill a few, but one who can save himself. A true warrior is only he who can tirelessly fight in the inner world and gain victory over his own mind and attachments. One who can act in the world's battlefields of actions, ever ruling over and never surrendering to the arrows of attachments that fly towards one from all directions, is the real immortal hero who can thereafter sit unarmed on the chariots of mortal heroes and without raising any weapon can guide the destinies of many an army in every Kurukshetra. That master hero is called Tattvavit, one who knows the reality, the self.
So you can see over here, first Swamiji is talking about, he addressed him as Mahabaho. उसमें कितनी psychological implications here, because somebody was saying that Krishna Bhagavan is the greatest psychiatrist of the whole centuries, because calling him Mahabaho, strong armed warrior, because he is like saying that the main thing is not to gain victory but to save himself from these attachments, that is the real. मतलब अपने हिंदी में भी बोलते हैं ना कि मन पे विजय प्राप्त करना is the biggest. बाहर का कभी वॉर में विजय मिली नहीं मिली, that doesn't matter so much, but winning over your mind. And then I think somebody sent that, I think मीरा जी sent that महाभारत का, आपने भेजा ना वो. So even in Swami Ji's Bhagavad Gita, in the beginning, he talks about it. It's an internal war that is going on with us, the good tendencies and the bad tendencies. All of us have it, and they are the children of the mind. So एक ही परिवार के हैं वो, good tendencies and bad tendencies. Bad tendencies are many. अगर हम लोग का जो naturally gravitate होता है bad tendencies में, हमारा मन, आप कुछ भी करने को नहीं होएगा ना, immediately negativity में जाता है. That's why in English they have a saying, empty mind is a devil's mind. Why कृष्ण भगवान से कर्म करते रहो, because खाली बैठेंगे, meditation तो करना आता नहीं है अभी पूरी तरह से, वही negativity में जाएगा. तो उससे पहले you learn everything, make the pressure of the vasana less, make your mind pure, then when you sit in meditation बहुत अच्छा होगा. Then you will understand this much better. So there's this internal war is the biggest issue. And then he's talking about that the last paragraph is last part of the paragraph is about Krishna Bhagwan himself. Yeah. Once you become Tattvavit, you don't even have to raise a weapon. You can guide everybody with just being there. It's a symbolic too. If you think about it, a symbolic of consciousness. Consciousness just is present. It doesn't do anything. But if we understand we are consciousness, our actions become divine. And you are capable of, helping others also. So that's other symbolism over here. So here this is over this particular verse. Anybody else has any comment, question, or add a point?
We finished the reading?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you understand this chapter is actually very beautiful. This the soul, the mind, the body, the brain, the senses, the world, and the cosmos, everything is created by the spirit. So one understands this, and the one who is the divine person, he knows that everything belongs to God. Nothing is mine, even not my destiny. Then he is not afraid of anything. He's happy in all situations. They're saying a divine man is happy whether it's in the palace or in the poor hut or in a monk's cell. Same thing, like he's given the example of a kitten. A kitten is very happy with the mother, whether the mother takes him to the palace or to the coal bin.
Mm-hmm.
And another story that is given is the gopis, they wanted to give curds to the Krishna, but then there was a flood in the river. So the sage Vyas was sitting next to the river. So they asked him, can you please help us? He said, where are you going? He said, we're going to give the curds, but we can't cross the river. So he said, okay, what about poor me? Why don't you feed me the curd? So, poor thing, they just gave the curd to the Vyasji, and he ate the curds. These gopis are thinking, what, how much he's eating, with nothing will be left for Krishna, but they couldn't say anything to him. So after eating, the Vyasji says, oh, you want to cross the river? They said, yes. So he says, if I have not eaten anything, Yamuna, please, give way to these gopis. When he said that, the Yamuna parted and the gopis went to the Krishna. And normally Krishna waits for them to bring the curd, but this time he's just lying down under the tree, he's not, burping away. He said, then they asked, aren't you hungry, Krishna? He said, no, I've already eaten so much. Vyas has already fed me so much curd. So I'm very full. So then this is what it is, whatever you do, all your action, if you dedicate it to God, then he gets it. So that's what we have to live our life by. Every action, we just dedicate it to God, and then we perform all our duties. Then we're not unhappy.
Yeah, good point. So, one way to look at it is that, like we've talked about Prakriti and consciousness, Prakriti without consciousness cannot function. It's nothing. So that's why you dedicate it to higher self. It's like electricity and equipment. कितना भी sophisticated equipment क्यों ना हो, और कितना भी अच्छे से काम करने वाला हो, हर एक पार्ट परफेक्ट हो, उसमें इलेक्ट्रिसिटी नहीं जाएगी तो एकदम बेकार हो गया वो. तो अब इलेक्ट्रिसिटी प्रधान हो गई कि नहीं. सो यू डेडिकेटेड everything to the higher, and that's what Sneh is talking about.
या जितना अपन बॉडी में रहेंगे उतना ही अपन दुखी होंगे, बिकॉज बॉडी में माइंड में इंग्रेस रहेंगे तो अपन मूड स्विंग्स होंगे, यू नो, हीट एंड कोल्ड से अफेक्ट होंगे. सो मोर एंड मोर वी गेट आउट ऑफ आवर body and, you know, look towards God for everything, or devote all our actions, our karmas to God, then we will not suffer.
So there is one word that they use in Vedanta that we identify with our body. That's why we get dukhi, because हम लोग कहते हैं मुझे हो रहा है सब कुछ. So उसको उसका वो ढीला करने के लिए कनेक्शन और इतना ज़्यादा अफेक्ट नहीं हो, तो ये गुण कर्म विभाग योग के बारे में चिंतन करने से, और you know, consciousness is separate and all that, it just helps. True. Any other person wants to say anything? Okay, we can go to the next one. 29. Prakrute guna sammudhaha sajjante guna karmasu tana krutsna vido mandan krutsna vinna vichalayet. Prakrute is of nature. Guna sammudhaha, person deluded by the gunas. Sajjante is are attached. Guna karmasu, in the functions of the qualities. Tan is those. Akritsan, vida, of imperfect knowledge. Mandan, the foolish or the dull-witted. Kritsna vit, man of perfect knowledge. No is not. Vichalayet, should unsettle. So there are several things in the next one. He's talking about opposite of a person who is tattvavit. The people who are prakrute guna sammudhaha, meaning deluded by the gunas. हम लोग वो qualities of gunas में इतना बह जाते हैं कि हम भूल जाते हैं कि हम कौन है. Basically उसी को delusion बोलते हैं ना. I don't know who I am. That's a delusion. So they are like confused about it. That's another word, basically. You know, they may know little bit, but basically that they are confused about it. And then because in that confusion, he thinks I'm the doer. That's the other spectrum of it. One is the person knows very well, I'm not the doer, prakriti mein sab kuch ho raha hai, I'm an observer. Here he thinks opposite. He thinks I'm the doer, and he literally forgets about the self. And I think that I gave that example of that moon, and there's another example that, you know, sometimes in a river, आप river पे जाओ और ऐसे खड़े रहो, river बहुत तेजी से बह रही है, and then when you are looking, you feel like you are moving. Delusion होने लगता है अपने को ऐसे. That's what is happening to this deluded person. He just keeps thinking that I am doing it. So, and because of that, they get attached to the function of senses, function of organs of action, get more and more, बोलते हैं ना कि sucked into the world. You know, everything looks like a calamity to that person. So now let's look at this self. When I say I, actually it is the self. You know, in Vedanta, they do it with a capital S. You've seen? If you write with a capital S, that means they are talking about the consciousness. And one is ego, right? We talk about ego. What is ego actually? Ego is nothing but that self with the capital S gets identified with the Prakriti, and I start thinking that, you know, I'm doing it, Prakriti is me, I'm the Prakriti. That is called ego. वो भूल गया और attach हो गया उससे, and then he start thinking that, oh, मैं कर रहा हूँ, वो self delusion में सब कुछ करना शुरू करता है. That's what is the difference between, you know, that pure self and a deluded self. A deluded self is ego. Okay. So what is the whole journey? Pure self has to be recognized. Okay. So when we start recognizing the pure self, that's when I become Tattvavit, and the other person is called the ignorant fool. जो ईगो में रहता है और जो सोचता है कि ये सब मैं कर रहा हूँ, that person is, उसको भगवान ने यहाँ पर बोला है मंदान, मंद बुद्धि का उसको बोला है. So one of the Swami was explaining that when we take a wise person and a manda buddhi, in the worldly sense it had a totally different meaning, but in the Vedanta it has a different meaning. How? हम लोग किसको wise बोलते हैं यहाँ पर दुनिया में? किसी को कोई PhD मिल गई, किसी को somebody has done some great work, some great business, professor, whatever, is a wise person. But in Vedanta, wise person is जो तत्वविद है. So ऐसा भी हो सकता है कि कोई बहुत पढ़ा लिखा आदमी होगा दुनिया में, लेकिन वो तत्वविद नहीं है, तो उसको मंद बुद्धि कहा जाएगा in Vedanta, okay? And ऐसा भी हो सकता है कि the person has not gone to school, doesn't know much about all these, these kind of language and all that, but it's totally Tattvavit. And we have a great example of Ramakrishna Paramhans and Vivekananda. Vivekananda was very educated, but his guru he never went to school much, and but he was Tattvavit, and Vivekananda learned from him. So that's what it is. When he's mentioned that this person is like a imperfect knowledge, actually.